Welcome again to Dairy Judging 101. I am Dr. Catherine Knowlton, a professor in the Department of Dairy Science at Virginia Tech. As part of our YouTube series on judging cows, I've done several videos on preparing and presenting oral reasons. This video is going to focus on the basics, how to take effective notes to help you remember the cows and paint a picture of the class when you go to give your reasons. So some stuff you probably already know. When you're judging cows and you're going to be giving reasons on them, you need to take a great deal of notes. You need two kinds of notes. You need descriptive notes where you are describing the cow. And that's what you're going to take generally first. You look at the first cow and you start taking notes on her. What does she look like? Second cow, third cow, fourth cow, descriptive notes. Then, while you're still in the ring with the cows, you do need to write out your comparative notes. When you have your placing, now you got to write out your notes for why the first place cow is over the second place cow, why second over third, why third over fourth. It is crucial that you take both types of notes while you're in the ring with the cows within the 15 or 18 minutes that you're allotted. Don't count on being able to create comparative notes later on based on your descriptive notes. You might be able to do it, but the end result isn't going to be anywhere near as good as if you took those comparative notes while you were actually looking at the cow. So, descriptive notes, comparative notes while you're in the ring with the cows. I teach a class and several workshops on dairy judging, and it seems to me that almost always my students' notes at the beginning look like the sheet on the left. Notice up on top, they've got just some really skimpy notes about a cow, maybe that she's dairy and has a nice udder, she's white, she has a bad top line, just some very brief descriptive notes, and then they get into the comparative notes, why they placed 1 over 2, 2 over 3, 3 over 4. In my view, these notes contain nowhere near enough detail. I can't imagine when it's time to give reasons an hour or two later that these notes are going to help at all. What I really encourage my kids to move toward is something much more like on the right. A tremendous amount of detail, descriptive notes taking up fully half the page, and then very organized comparisons for each pair, 1 over 2, 2 over 3, 3 over 4. You're probably looking at this and thinking, first of all, that's a lot of information. And then second of all, that doesn't even look like it's in English. Like, what are all those symbols and what are all those letters? Let me walk you through it, and I think you're going to see that these much more detailed and abbreviated notes are really going to help you get better at your reasons. Let me just walk you through what I think your notebook pages should look like. On the left side of your notebook page, from the top all the way down to the bottom, I want to see descriptive notes about each cow. So, cow number 1, what does she look like? And now, let's write down some detail on udder, on dairiness, on feet and legs, and other stuff about that cow. On your sheet of notebook paper, the whole left half of that piece of paper should be filled with descriptive detail about the cows. That's one of the biggest mistakes I see kids make, is they don't give themselves enough space for descriptive notes. And abbreviated detail, abbreviated detail, abbreviated detail. I want a lot of information, but I want it abbreviated. You'll need to figure out your own style of abbreviation. Some things are obvious, right? Capital T for tall, capital L for long. Maybe capital H, capital W, and then capital R, capital U for high, wide, rear udder. You should spend some time figuring out your abbreviations. Remember, I said there are two kinds of notes. So now let's talk about the comparative notes. This is what goes on the other half of your note paper. And it's going to be your top pair, first over second. Your next pair, second over third. The next pair, third over fourth. Within each pair, you are going to start with the most important category, the main reason why the first place cow beats the second place cow. And then detail, 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 detail. Now, second priority category and detail, 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 detail. Then if you have a third priority category, or maybe you just have some random details you want to throw in there, you put that in. End with a grant. All right, so I've got a couple of brown Swiss cows that I'm going to use as an example, and this is cow number 1. I've got the side view and 2 rear views of her. This is how I'm taking notes. I'm going to start with the descriptive notes. I write down her number. Plus RU exclamation point. What does that mean? That means, oh my gosh, I love her rear udder attachment. Plus SL, suspensory ligament. Plus TP. For me, pluses mean, yeah, good, I love it. What does BU exclamation point mean, do you think? BU best udder. Veins. She's got all kind of veins. Shape. She's got a beautifully shaped udder. What does that next symbol mean? If you've had any algebra, you're going to recognize that symbol as the symbol for angle. That's just what has become my shorthand for angularity. Or you could just do DC for dairy character. And what's the little squiggle that I did right next to that little angle sign? I said angle, and then I went squiggle, squiggle, squiggle all the way across the page. What that means to me is she's really clean everywhere, all the way through. And then I've got a spring rib with a little squiggle in front of it. That squiggle, meaning she doesn't really have a whole lot of spring of rib. Milky, exclamation point. Legs back, So maybe her legs are back just a little bit, and then I'm writing pretty because I think this cow is really pretty. Do you see how all of these things are going to help me remember this cow later on? I'm writing down descriptive notes that are true to the cow, but also are vivid to me. Best udder, pretty, milky. All these things are going to help me remember this cow. Here's the next cow. She's sound in her udder. Kind of a plain udder, kind of a narrow rear udder attachment. She's a little quartered, and her teat size I'd like to change. You see that triangle? That's the symbol delta, change. YMS, youthful mammary system, D/O, deep and open. Okay, angularity, meaning she's clean, but she's not as milky as the other cow is. Plus leg, you can tell what that means. Big. A little bit woody. Woody is a word that I use to mean a cow that isn't very milky looking. And I don't know why I use that term. I've heard other people use it. Maybe it means that she's about as milky as that tree over there. For me, it's shorthand for a big, strong, heavy-boned cow who just doesn't look very milky. And then I put a little unhappy face because I don't like cows that are woody. On the other hand, she's big. S/L, you see that? For me, that's straight lined. You don't have to copy my abbreviations. The point is, you have to have abbreviations. There is no way you can capture enough information about the cows if you're writing out every word. You have to develop a system of abbreviations. So now let's do the comparative notes between these two. I placed 1 over 2, and I thought it was easy. The first priority that I'm thinking as I look at them is that 1's more refined, more feminine, more milky than 2. Also, she has more bloom in her rear udder, got a higher and wider rear udder, stronger ligament, more correct teat size, and less quartering. You know what? She is more stylish and more refined, but I think that shouldn't be my first point. I think that should be my second point. So I'm going to write it out here. And then my grant is that the big cow's got her legs more squarely beneath her. She's bigger. She has a lot more spring to her rib than the dairy cow. Here's the important thing to notice. As I began taking my comparative notes, I sort of started talking from my first impression, and the refinement is really what struck me. But then as I got going through it, I realized that really that's an udder placing. The udder is what I needed to talk first. Give yourself time to check and make sure that you've got your priorities in order. The only way to really learn how to do this, guys, is to practice. So I'm going to give you 2 pairs of cows. There's a pair of Jerseys on the left, a pair of Guernseys on the right. I think both of these pairs, you can place them pretty easily. And I want you to write out notes, descriptive notes, and then comparative notes for these pairs. So just write it out for the pair of Jerseys, then separately write it out for the pair of Guernseys. So here's this pair of Jerseys. And I want you to take descriptive notes on these 2 cows, then decide on a placing, and then take comparative notes on these 2 cows. Best way to learn to do this is just to do it. After you get all of your notes organized, then go off and practice it, and then come back and actually give this set of reasons. I say set, it's really just a pair. But it's a great exercise. It'll really help you. Now do the same thing for these Guernseys. So that's all I have for you in this video. I hope you'll practice this. You can practice this with any 2 cows in your barn. You can look up pictures of cows online. Find a good one, find a bad one. Look at those two pictures, write out notes, and then practice actually giving reasons on that pair of cows. The more you practice doing this on your own time, the easier it's going to be in a contest setting. I hope that helps, guys. Good luck.